Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Hi, Bob.
How you doing?
Hi.
Hi. Good morning.
Well, welcome everybody. We're so glad to see a lot of faces not that long after our recent presentation with the Assembly. So we appreciate everybody's Zoom stamina. I think that's an appropriate use of the term right now. But in light of a lot of different Loretto Assembly Zoom presentations, this is going to be a slightly shorter spotlight than some of our past ones, but just as full of information and impactful. So I believe we wanted to start with a prayer read by Maureen. Maureen, are you ready for that?
Yes.
Okay, one moment. I'm gonna share my screen because we have an exciting visual to share with you as you listen, and I think Maureen can give you some context there.
Good morning, everyone. This is a picture of Kitty Madden, and she's in Nicaragua, and she sent me this prayer meditation. It is called From Revolutionary Love by Valerie Kaur. I'm probably saying her name wrong. K-A-U-R. Maybe you've heard of her. From Revolutionary Love. What I wish for you is stillness, the blistering pace of the pandemic, the cacophony of commentary, the relentless barrage of breaking news without rest, kills the root of our own wisdom, our ability to think clearly. It drives us to act on fear and panic, to hoard, to ban, to isolate, to self-protect, to act on racist impulses. But this is a time to gather the facts, then get quiet, and summon our deepest wisdom, and let that wisdom lead us, for we have difficult choices to make in the coming days. This pandemic will test who we want to be as individuals and as a people. Will we succumb to fear and self-interest, or will we double down on love? Will we let social distancing isolate us, or will we find new ways to reach out, deepen our connections, step up community care, and tend to the most vulnerable in our communities? Is this the darkness of the tomb or the darkness of the womb? I believe this is a time to love without limit. This is a time to see no stranger. In doing so, we gather information for the kind of world we want, where no one is uninsured or disposable, where our policies and public institutions protect all of us. And if panic or grief or rage seizes you suddenly, it's okay. It means you are alive to what is happening. The work is to breathe through it. It becomes a dance, the panic. Then return to wisdom, to retreat, then find the courage to show up with love anyway. I spent all day in fear, but tonight I got quiet enough to hear the wise woman in me. And she said, breathe, my love. Like any long labor, we are going to take this one breath at a time. Amen. Blessed be.
Thank you, Maureen. I think that was perfect. Alrighty, so a few things we wanted to share this morning before we get into some updates. We wanted to share with everyone kind of some responses we got based on our update at the Assembly, some of the feedback we received from breakout groups, and what we're already planning to do about that. Before I jump into that, I think we wanted to remind everybody of where the Assembly, or excuse me, where the website is located. Rosa, did you want to share that screen with everybody, or did we want to do a quick recap?
Oh yeah, they have a new.
I'll share my screen. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining our spotlight. Yes, so 12 days ago, we launched our website. Now we have visibility on the Loretto community website. And let me just direct you on how to get there. Go to the homepage, go to how we serve, and go down to the Latin American and Caribbean Committee. And should I just do a real quick recap right now, or do you just want to, Stacy? All right.
Yeah, if you want to show everybody where our partners are.
Yeah, I mean, I
and-
think a lot of people here were joining us on Sunday of the assembly, but can I just give photo credit, a shout out to Stacy for that photo, that lovely photo of El Otro Lado in Mexico, El Otro Lado being the U.S. side. So this is our webpage, and we're so happy, mainly because it tells a little about our history and our values, which are about bearing witness to injustice, about the power of hope, and the transformative power of personal encounter and friendship. And this is something we developed at one of our face-to-face meetings, and it really grounds us in the work. It tells about our key initiatives. I won't go into them, but you can read more because we have links here.
Hey, Rosa,
Yes?
let's give a shout out also to Katie Jones for helping us at that session where we developed this.
Yes, thank you, Sally. Katie Jones, former volunteer coordinator. She does marketing now, and she joined us and helped us develop these LACC values, and also really kind of lay out what we wanted here in our website. So thanks for that. We have our key initiatives: Loretto Border Trip, the Sanctuary Program, and like I said, for everything we have links here. Our solidarity with farm workers, primarily National Farm Worker Ministry, where we sit on the board, and supporting asylum seekers. And then this resource library is very helpful because it has links to almost all of the partners that we work with in the different initiatives. And also down here, we are going to have a link for Spotlight Immigration videos. We don't have it yet. The tech people were quite busy with the assembly, but we will have it soon so that all these recorded spotlights will be available to members and non-members. We also have a photo gallery, and we'll be populating that with more photos, showing some of our great work and our friends. Down here at the very bottom, we have recent articles and links to them, so you can click on them and go to all the information about that. And very important, down at the very bottom, this is a way for you to get in touch. Now, if you have any suggestions, or if you want to bring something to our attention and you can't remember the Gmail for the LACC, you can just put your name, email, and whatever it is that you want to communicate and submit, and it will go to our LACC Loretto at Gmail link, and Rox will be fielding that information, and it will get back to us. You can also follow us on Facebook and get any updates there. And this is our brand new website, which we're so happy about. So, thank you.
Thanks,
stop sharing
Rosa.
now.
So we hope lots of you will bookmark that, and especially revisit our partners pages on a regular basis as you want to find out how people are responding to things that are ever changing. So as I said, I wanted to give everybody some feedback to your feedback. Some of the things we heard from assembly breakout groups had multiple responses. And one of those requests was to get information that folks can share with their more conservative friends. Specifically, one quote was something not too provocative and something easier to digest. So we wanted to let you know of a few resources that we're going to be sharing in the future. One is Eileen Harrington actually put together a presentation on Social Security. And so it's a different vantage point when you're looking at issues of immigration and an opportunity to appeal to those who may have some slightly different motivations. Another resource that will be coming soon is our very own Maureen Flanagan has presentations that highlight families. How are families impacted? And I think, as Maureen said so well, it doesn't matter what your political beliefs, when you see families, that touches your heart. So we will be sharing that information with you soon. So thank you to those who asked for that. Another piece of feedback we received is a request that LACC get more directly connected with the LCWR and their social justice network to really increase the power we put behind legislative tasks. And we have good news to respond to that. Sally Dunn on the call today and Eileen Harrington already received those updates. And those have been part of the communications that we send along through our listserv. And so those have already gone out in emails and will continue to. So if you are not part of that listserv, please do get in touch the way Rosa just showed you on our website, and you'll be sure to get those emails. And two more pieces of feedback that we received. Some folks asked if LACC could provide questionnaire forms so that we could continue to get feedback and find opportunities for Loretto members to continue to weigh in on LACC work. We did provide a survey in a past community group session, and we shared those results at the assembly, and we really gathered a lot of good intel from that. So we'll definitely consider doing that at different intervals. And then something that we'll be touching on later in today's spotlight, some folks asked how they can get involved in the letter writing campaign. So Maureen has her Denver connection, and Bob is going to update us with the Southern Arizona connection. And so my LACC friends, anything else you wanted to add to those highlights or those pieces of feedback?
Good job.
All right, so I think at this point I'm going to pass it over to Maureen, who's going to talk about a few updates in her neck of the world.
Maureen, before you start, could we welcome Kellen James O'Shea to our Zoom meeting? Good morning,
Please do.
Molly. Everybody see him? Look, there he is. Oh. Okay.
All right. Well, I don't have a video this morning. That's a new twist. I sent a picture. Maybe it'll come up, maybe it won't. Otherwise, you're just going to have to close your eyes and listen. We've got a question from Kathy Wright about ICE Arrow. It's the enforcement and removal program is starting a Citizen ICE Academy, and they're planning on starting it in Chicago. And if this sent alarm bells to Kitty, it sent alarm bells to the LACC as well. I think that ICE is trying to reassure us that this will be just fine, and but I think that we believe that the ICE's track record speaks for itself. So we're not encouraged at all. So last week, let me get the name of the committee, Appropriations Committee in the House had a budget session and to approve the Homeland Security funding for next year, a funding bill. And of course, the representative that presented the bill is happy with the bill. It adds vital funding for alternatives to detention, reduces ICE detention beds, has provisions to keep the administration transparent, and things like that. It says it provides resources to meet the humanitarian needs of migrants and prohibits the administration from building any more border wall. So those were some things that they were touting. I'm going to tell you some other things that sound good, and this is the good news, and then I'll give you the bad news. It prohibits the removal of individuals who are eligible for DACA and that have temporary protected status. It prohibits the policy that you may remember to deport students that are here on visas if they have to take online classes. It approves the admittance of certain visa workers that were prohibited on coming under this administration. And what else? Also, it prohibits ICE from removing individuals who have private bills, and private bills are bills that your senators and mine and Congress people write for certain individuals who are facing imminent deportation. And that was a tactic that we used quite a lot during the Obama administration. We would get private bills for people. And the final one I want to talk about is prohibiting the use of funds for the ICE Aero Citizen Academy. And all of these amendments or provisions in this bill were passed on a party line vote, so no Republicans voted for them. The final vote on this bill is supposedly next week, and I want you to know that our fabulous four, and that is Representative Ilhan Omar, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ariana Presley, and Rashida Tlaib, are not going to support this. Even with all the provisions, they do not want to give any money to the Border Patrol or ICE until the terrorism stops at the border. So I'm sure there's going to be some fireworks and all kinds of things going on next week. I think that it would be good to call your representatives in the House and tell them that you want no terrorist funding for any kind of citizen school. We've seen what citizen militias do. We've seen what's been going on in Portland. So that is not something that we want to see. I will possibly before next week, I can put out some information in the midweek message about how to track bills that are going through our Congress. So that is what I wanted to tell you about that in response to Kathy Wright's request. I wanted to say a little bit about becoming a pen pal in Denver. The way they do it in Denver is a little bit different than the way they do it in Arizona. It seems to be a little bit more prescribed. And so when you want a pen pal, you could get in touch with me, and then I would put you in touch with the person at Casa de Paz that is coordinating that. And then I would step out. I wouldn't be in the process anymore after that. And Casa de Paz will send you the name, the A number, which I believe is the alien number. You have to have that on everything. And you will write your letter directly to a person that's been detained and has requested a pen pal at the Geo Immigration Detention Center here in Denver. And along with that is quite a few links to this organization called freedomforimmigrants.org, and has all the information you would ever want to know about writing to someone in detention jail. And some of the reason for that is you may get back from your person that you're writing to that they have some concerns about how they're being treated or someone else is being treated. So it has information about how they can access a hotline and how you can be an advocate for people who are living in detention. It also has frequently asked questions, just, what kind of tone should I take? Should I mention that they're in detention? Well, yes, but take your cues from the person that you're writing to about how much they want to share. It just has tips for writing things like that. I just wrote my first letter the other day, and the gentleman I'm writing to, I don't even know how old he is, but I told him about the only thing I knew about Ethiopia was that I'd gone to Ethiopian restaurants. I talked about the delicious food, and I found out that the terrain in Ethiopia is mountainous like it is here in Colorado. So I tried to make some connections like that. I've done this once before, and it is really, really a deep, deep connection that you can get with someone who is all alone in this country and is just reaching out to know that they have human dignity and that somebody cares about them. And also, I wanted to just say briefly one more thing about someone in our link discussion yesterday was concerned about voting, wanted information on voting and how we can't go and canvass this year, and how voting is incredibly important when you think about that appropriations bill that I just talked about, how important voting is going to be on many levels this year. So I have a list of 9 organizations. Some you've heard of: Common Cause, League of Women Voters, ACLU, but there's also other organizations. Let America Vote, Our Vote is specifically for people on Twitter. Brennan Center for Justice, Rock the Vote. These are all organizations that you can go find out about and see what you can do to make sure that people are not being denied their ability to vote this election cycle. And I think that's all that I have to say this morning. I'm sorry that that you can't see me. Maybe you're not sorry, but I feel like I'm talking to this no man's land here. But anyway, we're going to move on to an update from Bob in Arizona about folks that have been bonded out this week and about letter writing in Arizona. So thank you very much.
Maureen, I don't know if you can see, Rosa shared
Yeah.
the letter. If there's anything on here that you can walk folks through or highlight for the letter writing.
It's real tiny. I don't have that particular sheet, but you can see if you look at the blue, these are all things, the blue things to click on. It's got, it actually, if you do that, it has even a list of most of the detention centers in the country. It tells you how to track if you write to your pen pal and suddenly they're not answering. Did they get deported? Did they just get moved? And it allows you to track and see if you can keep track of them. And then if they are sent to another detention center, you'll have the information about that detention center. I think it has just the information that I was talking about the frequently asked questions, the hotline information, and that kind of a thing. But it has a lot of different links.
Perhaps we can send this on the LACC listserv again, so if folks would like to take a closer look.
You know, this is Sally. It strikes me, it struck me when I was looking at this material from Casa de Paz that Bob, I assume you will agree with this, they seem to be a little more organized than we are in our efforts to establish this letter writing program with you and the folks at Eloy. I was kind of thinking maybe we could use this information and develop some sort of guideline that we would send out to folks who are going to interact, Bob, with you and the detainees at Eloy. What would you think of that?
No, I think you're absolutely right. Yeah, and that falls on me.
Doesn't fall on you, not at all, not at all. You're a
No,
one-man marvel there in Tucson.
I think it's a great idea
we could,
If I
could
can
take that
come
on.
in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, precisely. Sally, I was looking at this material that you sent, Maureen, and thinking, this has all of it together, compact with links. So it's very good to just have that in doing this type of letter writing. So yeah, I would support that fully.
Yeah, okay.
I would too.
One of the reasons that they have us, we write directly to our pen pal, but the pen pal's letter goes to Casa de Paz. And the reason is a couple times, and it wasn't in Denver, someone had the address of the pen pal, and when they should have been communicating with a lawyer. And family members, there was some confusion because you have family members that are involved as well at times. And so they wanted to just make sure that the letter goes through Casa de Paz in case they need to, in case that person is not there and they know something that you don't. So they just are all of these are for the safety and the well-being of the person that's being detained in detention jail. So I think you'll find that it's not to censor anything, it's just protection.
Thank you so much, Maureen, and we'll make sure to follow up with getting that information out to folks. And so, yes, now we want to pass the baton to Bob. Thanks for being with us this morning, Bob.
Oh, no, thank you all. So I'll briefly talk about the letter writing again, and then I really want to talk about what's happening with the women that were getting bonded out and that have been bonded out. So hopefully I know looking around, several are already writing letters, and hopefully I know some have gotten responses, and some are requesting more people to write to. So I would encourage people to do the letter writing if you haven't started. Christina set up a great Google Docs with a sheet with names, and I will send a list to add to those names, because I think everybody at this point is being written to. So you know, the letters are so valuable and so important. It's a great action to take. So hopefully people will get involved with doing that. So getting to talking about the people that it was so funny that last week Sally had asked, you know, are people getting bonded out? And I said, well, not at this point, because the virus and the courts were being delayed, or they weren't even having courts. And then that very afternoon, I got calls from 2 women that said they had been to court and they'd received their bonds. So we've actually, one has been arrived in Phoenix last night. So let me show you her photo. Here she is. Dairis from Cuba. This is at the Welcome Center in Phoenix. This is my friend that lives in Phoenix, and we coordinate picking up people at the bus station, and then she takes, so Dairis will be leaving tomorrow morning around 9 o'clock to go to Miami to be with her family. So, and what makes it even more special is today is her birthday. When she called me on the phone asking about the bond, and I said, well, you know, call me back tomorrow. And then when she did call me, and I said, you know, I have good news, you know, and she goes, dime, you know. So I said, we can pay your bond. And she lost it. She just sobbed for minutes. And then she kind of regained her composure, and I explained what needed to happen and how things were going to happen. And she started to cry again. So then she called me back yesterday morning after I had returned from ICE. And she said, how are things going? I said, well, I have good news again. I said, you're going to be getting out today. And she did. She got out late last night. And then while I was sitting in my car at the ICE office, I received a message from a friend, and there's another woman in there. She said, you know, Rosanna received her bond, and it's $3,000. So I sent a message back, and I said, you know, tell her that we can get her out as well. So, but in between is another young woman, Sandra, from Mexico. And here's a picture she sent me of her with her 4 daughters. She's so sweet. So we'll get her out as well. Her bond is $5,000. So she's going to Los Angeles. She has family in Los Angeles. And
Sorry, Bob, can you show that picture again?
oh, of course, of course. Yeah, Sandra, she's 28. I mean, her story, when I received her letter, was like 4 pages long, and her story is like many. It's horrific, and you know, the violence against her and her family, and because her husband was involved in the gangs, and she literally escaped out of the house to make it north. And then I don't have a picture of Rosanna, but and what's really interesting is when I had to call ICE because I need to call ICE to get information to make sure that of the bond amount, plus to make sure that they have permission to leave before I go to the ICE office to pay the bond. And so when I was going to check on Sandra and Dyrese, I looked and their A numbers were one number apart, which was so strange. You know, so they arrived in Eloy the same day. Yeah, so that was really interesting. And then when I was talking to Rosanna yesterday, getting some information, I said, well, when is your birthday? She said, well, it's the 30th of July. And so Sandra's was the 17th, Dyrese is the 24th today, Rosanna's the 30th. So within 2-week period, they have birthdays. So what wonderful birthday presents to be, to get your freedom, you know, to get your freedom. And I always think back to Alba, who was the 18-year-old woman from El Salvador that we bonded out. You know, when she wrote me the letter and she said, you know, it's $5,000 for my freedom. And for me, it was such a powerful, powerful statement to read that. And, you know, nobody should be just for dollars. You know, these are really literally small amounts of money for us, I think, to try to gather, to get somebody's freedom and to literally change someone's life. It's life-changing. Because yesterday I called Rosanna, talked to her brother and sister-in-law in Florida, because they're going to pick her up at the airport. So I wanted to try to kind of coordinate things with them and let them know how the process works. And they were so grateful and thankful that this could happen. So that leads me, I want to talk about the Freedom Fund. And just before I move into that, I had a Zoom call with a group of students from the University of Portland on Tuesday. They're a Jesuit university. And we were talking about fundraising, and one of the instructors sent me this great paragraph that's a quote from, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but it was talking about fundraising and how fundraising is really a ministry unto itself. And when I'll have to share the quote, it's really beautiful, but it made me think that, yeah, it really is, because we know the impact that these dollars have and what it does for someone to gain their freedom, to change their life. So with these bonds, we're not quite depleted in the Freedom Fund, but we're getting there. So I know that I want to make it easy for people to donate, and I've set up a Venmo account where people can donate. They don't have to just send me a check. And I know Sally's working with the Loretto community to set up a link for people that want to utilize a 501c3 for tax donations. And Rosa helped me as well. I set up a Zelle account that people can donate to if they want as well. So want to have as many options as possible, and any suggestions are always welcome, you know, to how we can make this better, do better, because it's, you know, it's all about, you know, the folks that you know, I'm speaking of, and the pictures of these women that you saw. So,
Bob, there's been a question that was put in the chat room
sure.
asking about Sandra's daughters, wondering where they're located.
They're in Mexico.
In Mexico.
Yeah, they've moved from where they were. They're staying with family. And I believe that I'd have to go back and read her letter, but 3 of them are citizens.
Of
Yeah,
the
so-
US?
Yes, from the US. Yeah, so I'm hoping that, you know, while she's out and she's able to work on her asylum case, you know, in LA, that she can work on getting her children, you know, to be with her as well. Yeah, these situations sometimes are so complicated. And Dyrese has, I talked with a friend yesterday who communicates with her a lot. She has twins in Cuba.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now, Bob, if I understood this correctly, you told us that she had her final court date set for today. Her final court hearing in her asylum case was scheduled for today, the likelihood being that she would have received an order of deportation today, had you not bonded her out yesterday.
Yeah. Well,
right?
just not, it was everybody, you know, all of this work, yeah. It's we, yeah.
And so now she's on her way to Miami.
Tomorrow morning.
And we'll get a new court date set there in Florida?
Yeah, so she'll work on her asylum case tomorrow. That was, so when I met with the ICE officer yesterday, I supplied him with her sponsor's name and address and phone number. And so that information will, actually they will send it to me, then I notify her that, okay, this is, you know, I will send it to her, a copy of stuff. Say, this is your court date, this is the location, you know, and you need to be sure that you show up.
And will that court date likely be months from now, or do you even know?
Well, he said it wouldn't be, you know, right away. You know, they give her time to get situated, and he said a month. You know, it would be no less than a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, because I received the information from Alba as well, and she's in New Jersey now with her brother. She moved from Houston to New Jersey, letting ICE know along the way. I said, you need to let them know whenever you make a move.
Yeah.
They need to know where you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bob, I've got a question. You continually mention, this is Rox. You continually mention, you know, dealing with the ICE office and going, what is your experience with them? Do you find them just professional and helpful, or are they pushing back, or?
No, they've been extremely helpful. There's one guy, only being my second time there, he remembered me, and both the gentlemen that I worked with yesterday, I'd worked with the very first time. Very helpful. I mean, they were extremely helpful. They were having computer problems yesterday. I had gone in, I had to, you know, sign my signature, and he was running stuff through the computer. And he said, well, this take about 20 minutes. Well, he called me and he said, I'm sorry, but there was a glitch. You have to come back in and redo the signatures. I did that 3 times before it finally worked. So, I mean, and he was really apologetic. I said, no, don't stress, you know, don't, you know. And I mean, I'm very, very nice to them as well, because I want to have a good relationship. And I said, well, I'll see you next week. And because my plan is to go next week to do both Rosanna and Sandra at the same time. And I can do that. He said, no, he said, you can do 2 people at once. So I'm hoping to go Wednesday or Thursday of next week to get both of them bonded out. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Bob. And were
And
there
I
any
just
other
have one
questions?
quick question. I put it in the chat, but I don't think you're able to see. Now, are they wearing ankle bracelets for this? How does ICE monitor where they are?
No.
No.
Some,
Oh, that's
some
great.
they do. That's what's so crazy about all of this stuff. Some things are so arbitrary and random. There's a lot of inconsistency, and I know. And Sally, thinking about the court, I think because of the virus things, they're trying to, because with Diarese to have her court date or final court date, there's within days of receiving her bond, which that's very.
Yeah.
Usually, you're looking at a month or so, but I think they're trying to rush stuff through right now because there's such a backlog, and they got behind. And they're still, they're easing up on letting people out now. They're not. Still, people are in quarantine, but some have been. They're not in quarantine now. Some of the pods. Because some of the women have called me and you can just sense the tone in their voice. They're a bit more relaxed, but it's still very concerned. They said that one good thing is that the guards are doing better, or they have better PPE now. So that's a good thing. It's a very good thing, but there's still a lot of concern.
Thank you so much, Bob.
Oh no, thank you.
Yeah.
Can I add one thing that I've read that I forgot to say that I thought was very interesting about the letter writing? There's a National Immigration Detention Hotline, and that's available. That information is provided by Casa de Paz to everyone that's in detention. And it was featured on Orange is the New Black, this hotline. And when that happened, ICE disbanded it, took it away. And there was such a public outcry, they had an injunction to restore it. And right now it has been restored. I just thought that was very interesting that happened. So it's really, I think, one of the main reasons, besides the heart-to-heart connection, is the protection connection that we have to the people that we write to. I just wanted to say that because I forgot to mention it.
Thank you, Maureen. I think it's important to continue to hear all these hopeful, impactful examples. I think Sally wanted to share, and then we'll be passing the baton to Rox.
Yeah, I have one more question for you, Bob, about the bonding out of detainees in Eloy. Do you know, are there other women there with bonds that you might not know about?
That's very possible, because there are other groups, that work with people. There's like in Tucson, there's Trans Queer Pueblo that works a lot with the LGBT community there, specifically with that community. So, that's possible. And there very well could be other people in there that need bonds that I'm just not aware of, because, I'd say have connection to maybe 90 people, but there have to be people in there with bonds that I just don't know who they are.
Yeah, okay.
Doesn't the Florence Project work with them too, Bob, or no?
Work with?
Helping get people bonded out.
Well, the Florence Project is the legal. There's another organization, Casa Mariposa in Tucson, that does a wonderful job of working with women, men and women, getting them bonded out as well. But and then there's KTTT in Tucson here, Keep Tucson Together, which also bonds people out, because they do get funds from No More Deaths. Yeah, but of course there are many more people that we're not able to help than there are funds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But the 3 bonds actually are relatively low. 3, 5, and 8 is reasonable. Still a lot of money, but reasonable for bonds.
All right, thank you, everybody. Great questions, and thank you, Bob, for continuing to keep us looped in the good work. Now we're going to switch gears a little bit and hear from Rox about the National Farm Workers Ministry.
Hello, everybody. If you would open the chat, I've put some information in there. It might be easier to see it as well. And scroll up to the very first comments on our call. And I believe once our call is over, this information goes away. So if you see something you want to save, you can highlight it and copy it and put it somewhere, and then you'll have it. And I'm also going to be sending out information about these three things that I'm going to talk about today. On Friday, this next Friday, in case you haven't had enough Zoom calls, the National Farm Workers Ministry Board is gathering virtually over the weekend. And one of their events is going to be a panel of women leaders in the farm worker community. And it's going to be Teresa Romero, who's president of United Farm Workers Union, Millie Trevino Saucedo, who's the executive director of National Alliance for Farm Workers, and Reina Lopez, who is executive director of Puquín is what we'd shortened it to. You can see it there in Spanish. I'm not sure what Piñeros is. Trees, anyway. Farm Workers in the Northwest. It's a Northwest organization. And they're going to be doing a panel. It'll be at 7 o'clock on Eastern Daylight Time, and I will be sending the contact information out on our Google listserv if you want to tune in and listen. Also, through a coalition of Immokalee farm workers in Florida, people can make masks, and we have an address to send them to if you're still stuck at home next to your sewing machine, or you have your group of friends that is wanting to make masks for somebody, which are needed everywhere. There's an address you can send those along, and they'll be distributed. And Harvest of Justice is a program that National Farm Workers have been putting together the last few years. In the fall, it usually falls International Food Day, which I think is October 16th. Mm-hmm. I might not have the right name on that, through Thanksgiving. And so there's 6 weeks of programming, prayer, reflection, and action. And you can use it in a lot of different settings. This year, they actually put together curriculum for high school teachers to use. And this year, the theme is, what is the theme this year? Farm workers and the environment, and talking about how climate change is affecting farm workers, and the heat index, how that's affecting farm workers and any worker that's working outdoors. So that material is up, and you can find it at, there's an address there, or you can go to National Farm Worker Ministry website and search Harvest of Justice. And I'm also going to be sending this out as well if you're on the Google listserv. A lot of really good information there that can be shared. And as an aside, we asked for one of the ministry grants and got $3,000 for this project because they always produce a video with it. And so we've helped actually produce these materials this year too. So those are 3 upcoming things from the farm workers. And back to somebody. Sally.
I thought of something that I should have said, and you reminded me, Rox, that I just this week, in conjunction with the accelerated effort to raise monies for bonding out these women that Bob told us about, I made a request, an emergency request to our special needs fund, and it was approved in less than 24 hours. And so there's a contribution coming Bob's way in the amount of $1,200 from special needs to contribute to the monies that he's raising to bond these women out. So Loretto continues to show up, step up with our resources.
Thank you, Rox. Thank you, Sally. I think that's a great note to end on. Sounds like we all have a lot of work to do, to continue to do. So I've seen a lot of heads going down, and it looks like we're scribbling some notes. So hopefully you've had a chance to write down some of this information. Again, joining that listserv that Rosa pointed out at the bottom of our website is a great way to get this information that goes out at all different times from all different folks as we learn more and find more ways to pitch in. Before I close, were there any other questions, comments from anyone? Doesn't just have to be LACC members. You know, there's about a dozen folks joining us this morning. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to hop on the mic if you'd like. All right, well, you know where to find us. Thank you all so very, very much for giving your